Hey, what's going on everybody? Adam here with eTrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Pollak Back Up Alarm. So this backup alarm is gonna work with any 12 volt or 24 volt DC system. So a lot of people are wondering if it's gonna work with their truck or their car or whatever. It is. Everything's gonna have a reverse light wire. And whatever's feeding that, all you gotta do is tie into that, give it power from that wire, and then ground it, and it's gonna work. It might be a little bit more tricky to mount this up next to one of those smaller type of cars if you do plan on putting it on there, but we do have a lot of other ones on our website. This one's gonna be a little bit smaller and compact, so this one will be a little bit easier to find a place to mount it. As far as dimensions go, it is gonna be about 5 inches wide, about 3¼ inches deep, and about 3 inches tall. The nice thing about it is it does come with wires, so you don't have to supply that yourself. And they are going to be about 12 inches long, which is plenty long to tie into wherever you're tying into. We actually just mounted it next to our wires, so we really didn't need all that, but they give it to you just in case. It is going to have a glass-filled nylon construction, and it does have a cool little feature. It's called the self-cleaning feature. So if anything does get in there after, a long trip wherever you're hauling, this is going to kind of disperse all of that material that may come in there. So you don't have to worry about cleaning it out or anything like that. And it's not going to rust away either. It is going to be weather resistant. It's about 107 decibels, which is kind of a lot. It was pretty loud. Even if people are wearing some ear muffs or whatever in the factory or warehouse that you're working at, they're going to be able to hear it. And this is going to be OSHA approved. Since we didn't need to supply our own wires, you don't have to grab that, but you should grab some connectors like this. And then of course, we're gonna have to grab a little terminal for the ground on the other side. But if you wanna see us go through this process of how we mounted it up and how we wired it all in, stick around, we're gonna show you. First step is finding the reverse light wire. So a way to do that is to have somebody go into the cab, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our tester and then just check for the wire that has the reverse circuit on. So Brad, you put it in reverse real quick. All right, so that is good. So we know that is the circuit that we want. We already ran this wire. So basically what you can do is you can take the wire that runs to your reverse lights, you can cut it in half, and then you can take another wire and twist that together with one side, put it in here, clamp it down, and then take the other to complete the circuit again. So you have two coming off this way, one goes to here, the other one goes to where it was before, and then the other one's just coming from the body harness. So that's what we did, and you can have it right here. So now we can go ahead and start mounting it up. We want to get an idea of exactly where we want to put it. Ideally, it's next to all the wiring. So I already ID'd my reverse light for the positive, so it's going to be right around here. I already have some holes drilled, so I'm going to try to use those. Hardware is not included with the kit, and we can either mount it like this or like this. So since the sound's going to be coming out like that, I'd rather have it facing back towards you guys. So you go ahead and grab your hardware, whatever you go with. I'm using self-tappers to go into the frame. And drill them in. We want it to be tight, but not too tight. We don't want to crack that housing. We want to make sure these wires are going to be accessible. So there's going to be one on each side. There we go. So we are going to have wires connected, both a negative and our positive wire. One thing you are going to need is a connector like this. So we do have these on our website. Let's go ahead and grab that for the ground. And then of course, we're just going to tie this in to the wire here. So you can do this a lot of different ways, but for today, what we're going to do is just kind of splice into this wire using this little connector. And you can also get this here at eTrailer. You're gonna put both of those in, get them seated nice like that, and then you can go ahead and crimp it down using whatever you have And this way it kind of just bridges those two wires together like that. And then you just go ahead and close this thing up. If you do have electrical tape, I highly recommend doing it and then putting it up somewhere safe. We have plenty of wire, so we can hide that. And then for our negative, we're just gonna put it onto the frame. So all you really need is a self-tapper, and it does not come with it. So whenever you're grabbing the bolts or screws or whatever to mount up the housing, just grab another one for your ground, or you can just find a ground wire, whatever is most convenient for you. Once that's in and nice and tight, you can clean up the wiring, and then we can go ahead and test it out. So now's a good time to grab a buddy. Brad is in the cab. He's gonna put it in reverse to make sure it works. And it works. We have a lot of different backup alarms here at eTrailer besides the one we just showed you. So we laid them all out, and we're gonna do a sound test here. So we have all of them laid out, and over here, we're gonna have a little gauge. So as you can see, once I start talking real loud, it goes up, and when I stop, it goes back down. So this is gonna give us an idea of exactly how accurate the decibel ratings are and see which one's the loudest. First one up on our list is gonna be the Buyer's Products Back Up Alarm, and this one is supposed to do 102 decibels. So we got some wires ran, and we're rigging this up so we can get it to work on the table here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the wires in place, just like that. Let's see exactly how loud it actually is. All right, here goes the test. So about 96, 97 decibels, and it is a little far away. So right here, it's probably gonna be around that 102 decibel mark, which is exactly what it says. So let's move on to the next. This one's gonna be a little bit louder, 107 apparently. Again, Buyer's Products. And we're going to connect it up. All right, test number 2. So we're peaking out about 95, which is kind of the same as the other one. It does have a little bit different tone, so that might have something to do with it. And also we do have it a little farther away, but it is still within that range in the same ballpark. And that's what we're kind of looking for here. So moving up, we're gonna go with the Pollak Back Up Alarm. So this one is gonna be about 107 decibels. So let's test it out and see if that's what it is. Testing. Again, kind of going around that 95 decibel range, but again, it's just an app on one of our iPads we keep here in the shop, but it still is pretty loud. But all in all, it's around the same. We're looking at maybe about 8 decibels of difference from what it says and what our gauge is telling us. Now for the Custer backup alarm, let's go ahead and hook it up. Testing. So not as loud as some of the others that we had. About 83 is what we're getting with that. And this one's supposed to be 97, so it's within the range. And now for our Peterson backup alarms, it's gonna be about 112 decibels, so it should be a little bit louder than the others. It's reading about 95, but that was a lot louder. I think it's because of the little projection that they have in the molding, but this one definitely seems louder, even though it is reading about the same from all of our others. But let's move on. So now we're gonna go with the Pollak, and this one's gonna have different settings. So at its highest setting, it's supposed to be around 112, so let's see if it's any louder than this one. Testing. Again, about 97, but this one definitely is a lot louder. So I think usually when the housing's a little bit bigger, it kind of projects that sound a little bit more and makes it a little bit louder. Out of all the ones we tested today, the one I would go with is the Pollak. So this one is my favorite just because we are gonna have adjustments on the sides for the decibel output. I had it on the 112, but we can make it go to 97 or 107. So this is gonna be adjustable, and it's extremely heavy duty. It does feel a lot more solid than some of the smaller ones. And typically these are gonna go on larger vehicles. So it being compact isn't really a big deal for me. And if you do want a smaller one, the buyer's product is gonna be a nice compact little unit, and this is gonna be a little bit easier to find a place to put it. So we're gonna have Brad fired up one more time. So that kind of gives you an idea of how loud it is, and trust me, everybody's gonna be able to hear it, even if they have earplugs in. And that'll do it for a look at the Pollak Back Up Alarm.